the quarterback? Was it the wide receiver? Was it a combination of both? Now we've got the second year under Jomo. Will that help? I feel like with our new wide receiver coach, I believe, honestly, I would say all of our new coaches that we picked up this year, I think they might actually be better than all the ones they replaced.
Wow, really? Even the defensive. I mean, I like Deke. Coach Deke is a Mississippi native, but our defensive line coach last year, I
That's true.
mean, he he he's had some career. Now, Coach Deke has had a good career too, but I'm hoping. The thing is, Coach Deke is a Mississippi native, so he can help keep bringing kids to Mississippi and recruit the local kids to Mississippi State. Because Meridian always produces some good kids year in and year out. And a wide receiver coach, Michael Johnson, from Oregon, I think he's going to help our wide receivers get better. Like I said, right now we're talking about the wide receivers. And returning, of course, are all the starters from last year: junior Osiris Mitchell, senior Stephen Guidry, senior Dedrick Thomas. Now, will these guys be the starters as the season progresses? I guess we will see, because we added two dynamic players, one in junior college wide receiver Javonte Payton, and Kansas State transfer Isaiah Zuber. Isaiah Zuber has more career yards than anybody in a Mississippi State uniform right now, but they were all in a Wildcat uniform. He's now in a Bulldog uniform, but Zuber is very, very talented. He can play the slot. He can play the outside receiver. He's also capable in the special teams. So he's a weapon for us. Maroon Maniacs are taking a quick commercial break. So while we're on break, enjoy this tune by Sergei Narcisov, Vikings, found at www.free-stock-music.com. We'll now take you back to your regular scheduled program, Maroon Maniacs. Enjoy. All right, we're back with Maroon Maniacs. We had a little technical difficulty, and that's what happens when you're recording a podcast. Sometimes things just happen. But we were talking about the wide receivers. We just ran down the starters, Osiris Mitchell, Stephen Guidry, and Dedrick Thomas. And we were talking about the newcomers. Stubbs, what do you think about Javonte Payton and Isaiah Zuber?
End of the year, these two cats will be starting. From what I've seen in practice and these videos and these highlight reels, Peyton is the real deal. Zuber, I mean, you can't take what he did away at Kansas State for 2 years. Nothing against Dedrick Thomas. I mean, there's stats out there showing he didn't even drop a pass last year or whatever. But I just feel like there's something special about Zuber if he gets in there. And even if he doesn't get in there and doesn't catch a whole lot of passes, I think he's going to be something really special on special teams, on kickoff returns or punt returns or whatever they can use him for. But I believe in the end, we're going to see Peyton, Guidry, and Zuber as your starters. The other ones will fill in the blanks. And nothing against Mitchell. He had great games last year. Sometimes he disappeared. Sometimes he was there. Same thing with Guidry. I'm kind of intrigued to see how Cameron Gardner does, the former Starkville High standout. So I kind of want to see what he does, because I know originally when they brought him in, he was going to be a tight end, and now they've got him playing wide receiver. So
exactly.
I think it's going to be intriguing.
Well, here's where I'm looking to see what they do. Malik Deer. And, we know what Malik Deer did when he first got to Mississippi State as a freshman. But then Malik Deer fell down the depth chart, and then he got hurt. And, missed the season, tearing his knee up, came back, was kind of buried on the depth chart last year, but you know, in the practice reports that I've seen and read, they say Malik Deer has his gear back. You know, when I watched Malik Deer play football in high school, he went to Murrah High, the Murrah Mustangs. And the Murrah Mustangs are the chief rival of my Callaway Chargers. But here's the thing, I have talked noise about that rivalry since I started going to Callaway. And every year that I have been out of high school, you want to know when I didn't talk noise during that rivalry? When Malik Deer was playing for Murrah. He hushed me because he was that dominant a player. And I just knew when he got in maroon and white that he was going to be dominant in maroon and white. But he did not play running back. He played wide receiver. He played special teams. And he had an impact before he got hurt. I'm really hoping that he can have an impact his senior year and can help this offense because we need his skills. We need his skill set. But there's a name that's missing from the depth chart that we're looking on because we do have an older depth chart that's missing. But this young man is back with his Bulldog teammates after taking care of some family business, and that is New Orleans native, former four-star recruit Devontae Jason, affectionately known as WAP. WAP has some issues with his family, but he's back. Hopefully those issues are resolved. But there were rumblings that WAP might transfer. I mean, WAP might transfer. I'm hoping that he does not, but he's back and with his Bulldog teammates. But what do you think would have happened had WAP transfer? Would his quarterback in high school follow him? Or if Keaton doesn't get the starting job, does he transfer and does WAP follow him? I mean, there's rumors abundance because, you know, they played together and won a lot of games together in high school. Jason came to Mississippi State to play with Keaton. So if one of them left, I felt like the other would follow. But I'm so glad they are both back in maroon and going to be competing for our Bulldogs to help Joe Moorhead have a successful season in year 2. So what do you think about WAP coming back and solidifying his spot in the wide receiver rotation?
Well, it's like you said. I'm glad WAP's back. Honestly, I didn't even know he was gone until it was posted on Twitter a couple weeks ago, or actually, it might have been last week. And I was completely stunned by it. I didn't even know that he was taking time off. And then as soon as they hit Twitter, you know, the rumors started of what was going on, why he was out. And, you know, like you said, if KT doesn't get the starting job, do they both transfer? You know, where do they go? What's going on? Because, hey, we don't have nothing else better to do right now because there's no Mississippi State sports going on. So why not fill up the rumor mill and play on Facebook and Twitter and all those other things and create havoc so that the coaches can put out forest fires later on?
Yes, indeed. Now, next up, we're going to talk about a position that is missing a very, very dominant player who was drafted by the Tennessee Titans, and that is our defensive tackle group. Defensive end, we're pretty good. We got Chauncey Rivers and Marquise Spencer. And backing up, we have Fletcher Adams and Kobe Jones. So at defensive end, we're straight on the 2 deep. But at defensive tackle, we are very young and unproven. And in the SEC, teams run the ball. And Jeffrey Simmons is gone. Corey Thomas is gone. You know, so we're going to have someone step up and try to provide some run-stopping ability for our defensive line. So scroll down here to our defensive line. Right now, the tackles, this name sounds familiar, Autry. You know, that is Lee Autry is one predicted starter, and that is the brother of Danico Autry, who's currently playing for the Indianapolis Colts. The other starter is slated to be Fabian Lovett, redshirt freshman. Behind these 2 guys are a list of young but unproven players. Jaden Crumedy behind Autry. Also, sophomore James Jackson. And senior Kendall Jones, which, you know, Kendall Jones hasn't really had the career that I'm pretty sure he hoped he'd have. But now battling injuries in his senior year, you know, I just want to see him contribute and provide some depth along the defensive line. Behind Lovett, we got redshirt freshman Cameron Young, true freshman Nathan Pickering, and redshirt freshman Devon Robertson. So outside of Autry and Jones, we're full of youth. And James Jackson, who's been moved from defensive tackle to center, back to defensive tackle. We're freshmen. We have fresh fish. You know what I'm saying? We got puppies. You know what I'm saying? So these puppies are going to have to eat their kibbles and bits, their Alpo, or whatever type of dog food that the trainers are going to be feeding them to get them game ready and grow into full-fledged bulldogs by the start of the season. We need that because teams run the football. In the SEC, they run the football. Our first opponent, the Raging Cajuns, have two running backs that are both on the Doak Walker Award list. So they're going to run the football. And we're going to need our defensive front, namely our defensive tackles to set the pace and stop that, put a stop gap between that guard in the center of the offensive line of the Raging Cajuns that showcase, yeah, Jeffrey Simmons is gone. Yes, Corey Thomas is gone. But guess what? It's still going to be hard to run on these Bulldogs. So, Stubbs, man, what do you think about our young but talented defensive line front?
Well, I do like our young pups, and I do feel like Chauncey Rivers might be one of the best defensive ends in the country. I think Marquise Spencer is going to be right there. I really believe Kobe Jones is going to be really underrated. And I believe you're going to see him have a breakout season also. But it's like you said, in the middle, he's kind of improving. We don't know a whole lot about everybody. Autry got a little time in there. And then you got Fabian Love, which is a standout recruit coming in. And, James Jackson, no offense to James Jackson, but I feel like he might be the most bipolar player out there, going from defense to offense, back to defense, and then rumblings of going back to offense next year. I mean, I just hope they can utilize him because he was a big dude. Like when I saw him coming on the recruiting stat, I was like, wow, this is a big dude. This is definitely a nose guard. Like it's going to be, you got to move him. I can't think of who I'm thinking of the NFL that was just so massive that he just took up space.
The fridge.
The
refrigerator parrot.
There's one of the other ones that's just recent. I think he just might have retired. I can't remember what his name
Holy
is.
Nagata?
No.
From the Ravens?
No.
Hello Nada?
I can't think of what the guy's name is. I think he was actually a Patriot at the very end, too, just to get him a
Vince
Super Bowl.
Wilfork.
Yes.
Yeah, he left the Patriots, went to the Texans. I think he retired as a Texan, but I'm pretty sure he's going to retire as a Patriot. I mean, he's going to go into, if he goes into the Hall of Fame, he's going to be as a Patriot, not as a Texan.
Not anything against James Jackson, putting him against an NFL player. Just that's how big he is. Like,
yeah,
it takes
huge.
two dudes to move this guy.
So he's someone you want on the defensive line to eat up blocks, And
I feel like everybody else is going to be. I think Pickering. He'll get some reps in there. He'll get his 4 games in there, unless there's like a lot of injuries. I believe he's going to redshirt. And you got Russell. I mean, we're loaded there, but we've got a lot of unproven talent. That hey, they're gonna find out in that first game what the line's all about, because like you said, they got 2 running backs that they like to run. So we're gonna find out how that line can go against the Raging Cajuns. Luckily, we don't have. I won't say anything about tough games, but we don't have any smash mouth games right off the bat in the SEC going into that. But we'll get into that later on when we discuss our picks and everything. So
exactly. So, but earlier you mentioned rumors on Facebook, and for the past couple of, I guess you can say about 2 weeks, there's been some rumblings in Bulldog Nation about suspensions. No one is wanting to quote their sources. No one is wanting to say who told them, but There was first a rumor that Keaton was going to get suspended.